Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto and Yami fall in love with each other. Part 2, hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. So, what are your real thoughts on the girl? Yamato looked at Kakashi, as the two of them met up, and started to look around one of the more dangerous feeling areas together. Yamato was surprised that they were going so far for a girl that wasn't a ninja, and wasn't a part of their village. They were both on alert, but that didn't mean they weren't able to hold a conversation. Kakashi simply hummed in response to his question. What are your thoughts on the Kazekage? Kakashi asked Yamato. He's a powerful, kind, and respectable Kage who Naruto holds a strong bond with. Yamato didn't really need to think about it. He held the Kazekage, Gar, of the Hidden Sand in high regard. The young man was powerful, and was a trustworthy ally of the Hidden Leaf. How does this relate? Yamato questioned Kakashi's line of questioning, which Kakashi could see. 4 years ago, your answer would have been different. I bet you would have called Gar a cold-hearted murderer, a monster who could only destroy. Kakashi jumped into a tree, and looked down from above, looking for any differences between grass and dirt that would give away a trap. He could see that several traps were placed all around, and the traps were well managed to keep them fresh. Yamato joined him, and clapped his hands together, seeing the traps that Kakashi was pointing to, as he pointed to them. Wood started to grow over the top of the traps, keeping them all from going off without touching the traps themselves. That was years ago. That was after Naruto changed Gar, and we gained a powerful ally from it. I'm only alive because Naruto followed his gut and talked to Pain's real body. If Naruto had done what any sane person would do and killed the man, then I would be dead. Kakashi explained his reasoning partially. His ironclad trust in his student didn't need to be explained most of the time, but honestly, the only reason he was alive was because of Naruto. Naruto going and talking to Nagato, who brought everyone he killed in the Hidden Leaf back to life, was something that normally couldn't be done. Turning enemies into allies after crossing fists with them, and then gaining an understanding of them was a skill unique to Naruto. Kakashi had yet to see anyone else so able to gather allies to themselves in the way Naruto did. I'll never understand Naruto. Yamato smiled when he said those words. He would never understand Naruto, but that didn't mean he wasn't proud of the young ninja. I've watched Naruto for a long time. I'll bet he sees something in that girl that people like us can't see. His desire to help others is genuine and leads to trouble, but it's worth it in the end. How many allies do you think the village has because of Naruto? Kakashi inquired, and Yamato was silent. He nodded his head in understanding though, knowing that many countries, nations, and villages were only on their side because of Naruto. Kakashi looked at a stump, and jumped down so that he was crouched on top of it, and when he landed there was a hollow sound from it. Yamato looked down from above. That's the entrance. Yamato pressed the button on his throat. We found it. We're north of the mountain, at 11 o'clock positioning, about 1 kilometer from the base. Yamato explained to the speaker. Alright. We're on our way. With Naruto's reply, Yamato took his finger off the button. He joined Kakashi on the ground, as the more experienced ninja grabbed the base of the stump, and lifted it up. There was a hole in the ground with a ladder visible leading into darkness. You've seen the darkness in that girl's eyes. After fighting her, talking with her, and eating ramen with her, I know that Naruto feels kinship with her. He wouldn't be able to leave her alone. We can't stop him, but we can watch his back. Kakashi stood up straight, and looked to the sky. It was small, but he could see them flying in from the distance. He could see Yami's white wings, and based on the size, Naruto had hitched along for the ride. Yamato didn't ask any more questions. I don't trust her. I don't either. Kakashi agreed with that at least. He didn't trust the girl in the slightest, and he was on alert around her. I'll kill her myself if it comes down to it though. Kakashi explained that much to Yamato, while taking his radio off. There was no longer a reason to wear it, now that everyone was going to be meeting up. Yamato nodded. He was willing to do the same if it was needed, but as it was, she was just a quiet girl that tried to kill Naruto. Incoming. Kakashi pointed out, as Yami dropped Naruto, who started to fall towards them. In moments, Naruto landed on his feet, while Yami flapped her wings, and slowed down before landing. When she did land, her wings went back into her body, as if they never existed in the first place. I smell blood on you too. Kakashi spoke up, as he opened up a book that he pulled out of his back pocket. He was still on alert, but most of Orochimaru's ninja weren't much to write home about. The Jonin were about Chunin in level, and the Chunin were about Genin. Most of Orochimaru's real threats were only threats because of the fact that they were enhanced by curse marks of some sort. He would put his book away if it was needed, but he was getting to one of his favorite parts. That book again. Yami noticed it was the same book from earlier. Can you read right now? Yami asked. I see well enough in the dark for it, so yes, I can. Kakashi's eyes smiled at her, speaking sarcastically with her. He knew what she was really asking, but instead he decided to answer her actual question. Yami just remained silent with red cheeks, her eyes narrowed in annoyance, but she didn't speak to Kakashi again. I think somebody should stay behind and watch to make sure nobody follows us. Yami spoke silently, with a look at Kakashi, despite not talking to him. I vote Yamato-sensei. Naruto raised a hand up, and Kakashi raised his free hand up, as well. Yami, seeing who Naruto voted for, ended up raising her hand. What? Kakashi glanced at Yamato, and sent a look at Yami, and the man sighed, before nodding his head in acceptance. His new role assigned, he could only resign himself to it, as he jumped up into a tree, and stayed hidden among the leaves. Naruto jumped into the hole, ignoring the ladder, fearlessly though his face was serious. Yami jumped in after him, and, as Kakashi jumped, he nodded at Yamato. It wasn't a short fall either. Yami guessed that it was a 50-meter fall from the top of the hole to the bottom of it, so in the end she grabbed onto the side of the ladder, and slowed down her fall a little. Kakashi, not wanting to smash into her, followed suit, and slowed his fall, as well. They watched, as Naruto continued to fall, before landing on his feet. Yami jumped off of the ladder when they reached about the ground, with Kakashi just touching the ground gently. Snakes. Yami's statement was followed by a look at the illumination of the base, with snake statues on the walls with lights in their open mouths. The entire hallway was covered by a light red light, with the walls decorated to look like snake scales. The entire snake motif she was seeing let her take a guess at what this man's favorite animal was. It seems this base was mostly used as a lab. There might be some of his experiments running around, Kakashi pointed out. Or worse, Naruto did point out. Orochimaru was a sick and twisted man. Deeper in the base. Is that Naruto-kun? A snake-faced young man asked, as he lowered the hood on his cloak and truly looked at the security images. Half of his face was covered with white scale markings, with purple markings around his eye. His hair had turned almost completely white, and his left arm was covered in the same scales. I don't recognize that girl though. Well, I guess I should go greet them. Or, I could send all of the ninjas in the base after them. Back with Naruto, Yami, and Kakashi. We've been discovered, it seems, so stealth is pointless. Kakashi spoke when the alarms started to go off. He put his book up, and drew a kunai instead, and he grabbed his headband, and lifted it up, revealing his Sharingan eye. Naruto, I'll take point, you guard the rear. Kakashi gave a quick order, as he started to run down the hallway. Naruto gripped his fist, and followed behind, with Yami between them, holding her beacon in her hand, so that she could see how close they were to her ship. Left. Yami directed them when they came up to the first three-direction split, so they took a left, and were met with several ninja running towards them. Not only from the left though, but there were also ninja chasing them down from the straight path and right path. Naruto turned around, and jumped backwards so he could continue to follow them. He crossed his fingers, and with a puff of smoke the shadow clone appeared next to him. With a smooth motion, Naruto raised his hand, and created a Rasengan in the hand of the clone, instead of his own hand. Rasengan. Naruto too shouted, as he rushed towards the group chasing them, ducking underneath kunai thrown at them. Of course, the dodge kunai were deflected by the real Naruto with his own kunai, as he turned to face the same direction as Kakashi and Yami. There was a bright yellow explosion behind them, as the clone hit the lead ninja with the Rasengan, and it filled the hallway. Most of the enemies chasing them were consumed by it, and sent flying back where they came from. Front. Kakashi threw his kunai into the heart of an enemy that came at them from the front, and revealed another enemy behind him. Rikiri. Kakashi shouted, as a thin lighting blade appeared in his hand. He increased his speed, and rushed towards the enemies that started to show up. Down they went. All they saw was a flash of blue passing by them, as Kakashi shoved his hand through their chests one after the other, before they could react to him, and dodge. He grabbed his kunai from the first ninja he killed, as he passed him by though. That's an impressive technique with an amazing amount of sharpness to it. Yami observed Kakashi fighting, as they traveled towards another split. Left. Yami pointed out once more. Naruto, point. On it. Naruto ran in front of Kakashi, and switched places with him when they came up to the turn. Kakashi started to run through hand signs, before he leaned down while running. When they approached the turn, he slapped his hands against the ground. Kakashi watched, as Naruto drew a second kunai, and blocked two swords with them. Naruto kicked a ninja in the face, before he headbutt the second one. The first one had his head slammed into the wall, while the second learned just how hard-headed Naruto was. Earth release. Multi-mid wall. With that said, two walls block off the paths of the two other possible paths, sealing the oncoming ninja away from them. Multiple elements, and controlling them with ease. Yami thought to herself, as she turned her left hand into a blade. She flipped over the falling bodies of the knocked out ninjas who Naruto took care of, and she cut the back of their necks, severing their spines while only causing slight bleeding. Either way, they died when she did it, and she turned her hand back to normal. When they came to even more split paths, Orochimaru seemed to like making his bases into mazes. Naruto threw kunai, before he pulled out two more kunai, and threw them. Yami saw the kunai pierce the hearts of ninja blocking off their paths, and they were knocked off of their feet by the force that they were stabbed with, only giving shouts of pain when they were killed. Which way do we go? Naruto asked Yami, and she looked at her remote. Down. Down down. Naruto shouted, as he put his hand on Yami's sternum and pushed her to the ground. Naruto jumped on top of Yami and covered her with his body, and Yami saw that the ceiling had several strange notes on them that had their corners on fire. They exploded, and the ceiling collapsed on them, with Naruto shielding her from the rubble and the explosion with his body. Yami looked at him with surprise, as they were mostly surrounded by rubble. Yami didn't say anything. He saved me again. Yami felt blood drip on her face, with the blood coming from Naruto's face. The back of his head having been wounded, and the blood dripping off of him and onto her. "Ha, this hurts. You okay, Yami-chan?" Naruto asked her. She didn't get to answer. Water release. Water bullet technique. A wave of water shot out of Kakashi's mouth, despite his mask, and knocked the rubble off of Naruto's back. Naruto got the rest of the rubble off of him, and stood up, looking at the ceiling, and the hole in it. "Thanks, Kakashi-sensei." Naruto spoke, as Yami stood up, and looked at Naruto with confused eyes, before she looked down at her remote again. She turned her back to Naruto for a second, before she shook her head, and turned back to him. She shouldn't think about it now, save it for later. "Don't thank me yet, it seems we're surrounded now." Kakashi got back to back with his student, and started to run through hand signs. Naruto crossed his fingers with a grin on his face, creating two clones to face the other hallways. Yami put a remote in her skirt pocket, and got ready for combat. "Are you ready for a fight?" "Always." The answer that Kakashi expected, so with that lighting coated his hand generously. He pointed his hand towards the hallway that he was facing. "Lighting release. Lightning beast tracking fang." Kakashi shouted, as the lighting leapt from his hand, forming a wolf that started to rush towards the enemies, and take bites out of their necks. The lightning wolf was fast, furious, and its bites were precise, and powerful. Kakashi turned a group of 10 ninjas filling the hallway behind them into a group of corpses in a second. He ducked underneath a kunai aimed at his head from his right side, while several enemy ninjas started to use hand signs, as well. "They're preparing Fire Nature Chakra Naruto," Kakashi told his students. Yami turned her into a spike ball, before she leaned down to the ground, and started to beat it with her transformed hand. She put crack after crack into the floor, as Naruto and his clones started to run down the other 3 hallways. A Sengen. One of the hallways was completely destroyed by one of the clones, while the other clone actually got popped by one of the more skilled jonin chasing them. Kakashi turned in the direction of the enemies that the clone had been facing. "Fire release. Great fireball technique." 7 different voices shouted out that technique, 4 from Naruto's hallway, and 3 from the hallway Kakashi took over fighting. Kakashi took a page out of Naruto's book, and created a shadow clone next to him. The clone formed a Rikiri in his hand, and slammed it into the cracks in the floor Yami made. The floor collapsed underneath all of them, dropping them into the next level floor, as the fireballs all started to flood the area above them. The floor above them was resealed when the clone of Kakashi, having been caught in the fireballs, used one last earth style to restore the floor above them before popping. "That should make it look like they killed us," Naruto pointed out, as the alarms continued to go off. "Which way do we go now?" Naruto asked Yami, as he got the ash off of his jacket, part of the fireball having hit him, as they fell. Yami took her remote back out of her pocket, only to wince when she saw that the screen giving directions was cracked. She didn't have the answer. "I don't know." It wasn't an answer, it was a response to the question though. "Then let's find my way." Naruto crossed his legs, and dropped to his butt. He placed his hands together, and closed his eyes, focusing on staying still. "I'll sense our surroundings in sage mode, and find it that way," Naruto explained, as rings started to form. The signs of sagehood appeared several moments after Naruto became still, and when he opened his eyes they were the same, as when he defeated Yami. Kakashi nodded. "Which way?" "It's not down, it's up, but there is a strong chakra here too, and I kind of recognize it. It feels like Kabuto, but it also feels like Orochimaru, just more twisted than before. Kabuto is here, he's using this place to hide out." Naruto explained their situation, as he stood up, staying in sage mode, as he did so. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. "Then, coming here was worth the effort. You and I together should be able to take Kabuto back to the village. We can get more information out of him." Kakashi decided for them something else that they needed to do. Naruto frowned, and looked in the direction that Kabuto was in the base. Yami didn't know who this guy was, but he sounded like bad news, though she was far more concerned about getting her ship. "No, we should take him down." He strapped down to a chair, and injecting himself with something, it seems like blood though. "He's stronger than before, and I feel more different chakras in him." Naruto changed Kakashi's plan, and Kakashi felt concerned about the information. With the information, he couldn't help but agree with Naruto in that they needed to end the rogue ninja. "He's deeper down though, and the ship is actually near the top of the mountain," Naruto explained, as he looked up. "Better play it safe when it involves Kabuto." "Is Kabuto?" Yami asked curiously, as they started to move again. "The bastard. Naruto's true statement aside, he's a rogue ninja from our village." Kakashi explained a little better than Naruto, without denying Naruto's true statement. Yami nodded without asking further questions. She didn't care all that much. They calmed to a halt when the wall opened up in front of them, and a large creature came out of it, a creature that instantly caused Yami to freeze in her tracks when she saw it. It's a cursed seal, but he's mentally degraded. Kakashi grabbed his wrist and prepared a Rikiri. So many tentacles. Get out of the way. Naruto rushed the man and punched him in the jaw. The tentacles prepared to try and wrap around Naruto, but Naruto's first met with his face too hard. He was sent flying with a shattered jaw, his body smashing through several walls before he came to a stop. It was slimy too. Yami looked as they ran by the holes in the walls Naruto made. She didn't pity what he just did to the guy. She remembered when Naruto hit her with 2 fingers lightly, and how that broke most of her ribs. That guy just got a full fist to the face, so she knew that right now, he was dead. No doubt about it, his skull was shattered. He was super dead right now. That unlucky man didn't even have a moment to contemplate his death before it hit him, and honestly, that was more than likely for the best. It was a lot less painful that way. Then again, Yami didn't really care about his pain. There are stairs going up and down, which do we take first? Kakashi asked, as he looked towards Naruto. Up, let's go get Yami-chan her ship, then we can get Kabuto. We came here for her. Naruto started with grit teeth. He told Yami he would get her ship, and he would do it. Senjutsu, Naruto-kun, you've really come a long way, haven't you? To think you've mastered such a powerful skill. Kabuto had to admit he was impressed by what he was seeing go down in front of his eyes, as he looked at the screens. Even now, he was just getting his body ready to go, and learn Senjutsu, the snake summon way of learning it. Even his own master, Orochimaru, had never been able to fully master Senjutsu. Jiraiya, the Toad Sannin, hadn't truly mastered the art of Senjutsu. As he was now, he wouldn't be able to defend himself against Naruto. He was in the middle of the process of injecting himself with the genetic material of the Sound 4, technically Sound 5, so that he could gain their abilities and increase his power further. That way his body would be strong enough, his chakra great enough, to go to the Snake Sage and receive his own Senjutsu bite. Strapped to the chair, allowing the DNA to blow through his accepting veins, meant he was defenseless to attacks at the moment, and he couldn't stop his operation, either without using his chances of taking his power further. It would seem Naruto was still good at giving him a headache. With Naruto, more people with cursed seals. And no tentacles on these ones. Yami thought with relief, as she looked at the gray-skinned monstrosities in front of them. Several of them all grouped together, each of them with black and yellow eyes, and deformed other traits. Some had bladed wings with 3 toed feet, 1-hand cannons for arms, with cannons also sticking out of his back. Then there were triplets who were horned and covered in spikes. No tentacles though, unlike with the super dead guy. I'm starting to run low on chakra. Kakashi lowered his headband back over his Sharingan eye. He had maybe 2 or 3 more goods left in him before he was out of chakra to use for battle. He had been going through his chakra reserves left and right as they battled a rather small army of ninja and cursed seal users who could take a better beating than the regular ninja. Then again, the odds were stacked against them. Fighting a sage and a near cage level ninja at the same time, while also defending against the bladed hair of an alien girl, wasn't easy for cannon fodder ninja like the ones they had been fighting. Times like this make me wish I could share my chakra. Naruto told Kakashi, as he raised his fists up to fight the group blocking them. He's shooting energy from the cannons on his back to increase his movement speed. Yami noted when the more dangerous-looking guy shot towards them like a, no surprise, cannon. Yami saw him coming towards her, so she moved her hair towards him, and created 12 blades out of it. At the speed the man was going, he wasn't going to be able to avoid cutting himself to ribbons on her blades. Then again, moments later, she was proven wrong. He ignored her blades completely, and smashed through them, her blades bouncing off of his apparently super hardened skin. She was taken by surprise, since only Naruto had ever ignored her blades like that before. Naruto ran towards the man when he saw Yami in danger. He ducked under a cannon punch that blasted the wall next to them to absolute pieces, before he returned with his own power-packed punch to the center of the man's chest. Naruto's first went deep into his chest, so deep that despite not piercing his chest, an imprint of his fist could be seen through the man's back. These guys' cursed seals use Senjutsu chakra to work. It's tainted though. Naruto spoke up, warning Kakashi and Yami about the enemy's abilities. He thought he had sensed it earlier, but now he was sure of it. Yami changed her hand into a hammer instead of a sword, since she was pretty sure that her blades weren't sharp enough to cut the enemies. Thinking on it, she changed both of her fists into large metal versions of her fists. It would be better to go fully offensive, with enough weight to serve as a good defense if need be. Here they come. Kakashi spoke, as Naruto dropped the dead man to their side. The triplets rushed towards them, while the bladed ones stayed behind. Yami stood in front of Kakashi, and she grabbed the arms of one of the triplets that went for the man. She gripped down firmly on the man's arms, so that he couldn't move them. Her hair floated in the air, before transforming into several large hammers. With them, she started to beat down on the man's shoulders with repeated full-force strikes. There was a sickening crunch, as his shoulders were dislocated. So they sheer pain. Kakashi noted when the two others stopped for a moment and grabbed their shoulders. To be honest, I wasn't expecting to go to war today. Thought it would be a lot easier than this. Naruto punched one of them in the temple, and down like a light he went, a fist imprint in the side of his head. Naruto ducked underneath a punch from his other side, before he raised his leg high into the air, and kicked the attacker right in the neck. In less than a second, both of the men were sent flying into the ceiling and wall. Kakashi grabbed a kunai, and ran pure lightning chakra through it, increasing its sharpness many times its usual amount. He jumped over Yami, and flipped, cutting through the back of the man's neck with it, and when he did, the man fell limp. That was my kill. Yami thought, as she frowned, quite honestly upset that Kakashi would steal her kill so casually. So she ran towards the winged man, and she engaged in hand-to-hand with him. His bladed wings serve, and 2 extra arms for attacking. She, with a much smaller body, had an easier time dodging in the rather narrow hallway than the man did. She was able to weave through most of his attacks, though one of his wings skimmed her side. She winced in pain when her dress was cut, and she was given a shallow cut along her ribs. Now die. Taking her wince as a chance to kill her was his mistake. As he was about to slam his wing down on her head, she changed the direction of his attack. She hit his wing with one of her hammers, and he sliced through the side of his own neck instead of her head. Blood sprayed on the wall next to them, and the man looked to where she cut him, before his eyes rolled up, and he fell down to the ground. Let's stay here, and rest a moment, Naruto, let us know if anything else is coming. I'm going to mold some chakra. Kakashi sat down, and started to focus his remaining chakra, increasing how much chakra he had with focus and meditation. Increasing his chakra recovery rate for only a little while would get him enough chakra to use maybe 1 or 2 more if it came down to it. Yami touched her hand to her cut side. Fine, Kakashi-sensei, do you have any medical stuff? Yami-chan needs something to stop her bleeding. Naruto said, as he sat down with them. He saw that she was wounded, but he didn't really freak out, since she seemed like she wasn't too worried about it. Of course, naturally her freaking out about it or not, didn't change the fact that she needed to stop the bleeding. I have stit. No? Yami denied that firmly. She would rather not have him sewing her skin shut if she could help it. That would be needlessly painful when she would heal on her own anyway. She looked towards Naruto, and saw him look at her wound. He pulled the hem of his jacket up to his teeth, before she saw him bite it, and pull. He ripped a long strip of the orange cloth off the bottom of the jacket, and held it out to her with a grin on his face. Raise her shirt up a little, I'll tie you up. Naruto told her with a smile. Yami looked down at her wound, and saw it was several inches below her breasts. She glanced at Naruto, before she nodded her head, and raised her shirt up enough for the wound to be revealed easily. All without showing her breasts to him, which was good for both of them. Kakashi looked at her red cheeks though, something he was sure Naruto didn't notice, and he smiled at them. Don't touch me in an icky way. I wasn't going to. Naruto shouted at her with red cheeks. He huffed, and scooted closer to her, before he started to wrap his cloth around her torso. It wasn't a pretty fix, but it visibly helped cut down on the bleeding, as he finished tying it off. Yami nodded her head, and lowered her shirt, the orange cloth now visible through the rip in her top. Feel better? Naruto asked her. She deadpanned. No, I'm still injured, just not bleeding. Her deadpan response got a sheepish smile from him, knowing she had a point. Naruto, do you have any food pills? Kakashi asked Naruto, as he looked at the pouch on his backside. Naruto nodded. I have the ones Sakura-chan made for me a while back, they should still be good, they should still work. Naruto instantly corrected himself, as he opened his pouch, and pulled out what looked like a mud ball. He passed the mud ball to Kakashi, who grabbed his mask, and pulled it slightly away from his face, dropping it into his mask. There was the sound of a squish, and Kakashi visibly shivered in disgust, as his pale face got even paler, some would even call his face a little green. It does work, that got me close to full on chakra at least. Kakashi muttered, as he finished molding his chakra, and sighed when his reserves returned back to full. He couldn't eat another of those food pills, though it wasn't suggested to eat more than 1 food pill a day anyway. While they are stored and strengthen the chakra of the user, they could also place a lot of stress on the body to go with it. Yami nodded to Naruto. With her wound covered, she was good to go on again, as well. Kakashi wiped the sweat from his face, and lifted his headband back up. We're seeing more cursed seals, Naruto, is there anything waiting for us up ahead? Kakashi asked, and Naruto nodded. Mostly weaker ninja, this was the last of the ones with cursed seals. I sense a few snake summons though, they are with the ship though. Naruto spoke, before his eyes turned back to normal. He started to pant when a small amount of exhaustion overcame him, a small layer of sweat on his face. Side effect of running out of Senjutsu chakra, exhaustion, but Naruto wiped the sweat from his face, and took a breath. He regained his lost stamina with just a few moments of rest, but he didn't enter sage mode right away. So how are we going to get the ship out of the mountain? Kakashi asked, since they didn't even know how the ship got into the mountain in the first place. It might have been important to bring this up earlier, but they had been running and fighting then. Plan B? Kakashi asked Naruto. Naruto nodded. Blow the mountain or at least blow up the mountain's top. Naruto answered, and after that Yami would be able to fly the ship to safety. Then he and Kakashi could go and hunt down Kabuto and bring an end to him. We only have a few more hours before the sun rises. We need to get the ship, kill Kabuto, and make it back to the village before anyone figures out we left. Naruto gave them their time limit. They weren't on an official mission, and with village security how it was, it would be better for them if nobody knew they left. Kakashi nodded. Let's move then. Kakashi stood up, resting himself. Yami got ready to stand up, but she saw Naruto offering her hand. Having no reason not to take it, she grabbed his hand as she was helped back up to her feet. His hand was so warm and gentle. The dead bodies around them started to move, but not like a living person. Instead, their bodies started to bubble as their skin deformed further. It was like their skin was water, and it was boiling. The bubbles in their skin got bigger, and blood leaked out of the bubbles. They're going to explode. They're going to blow up. Naruto shouted when he heard Yami. The trio ran across the hallway, but they didn't get there fast enough. The bodies blew up in a powerful explosion, with fires chasing after them. Naruto crossed his fingers and created two clones next to him. One held him from the Rasengan, while the other held his hand over it. The Rasengan's color changed slightly, and it gained small white blades around it. Blind release. Rasengan. Naruto slammed his Rasengan into the explosion as it chased them, and he stopped it in its tracks before the Rasengan shot off and absorbed the flames into itself, increasing its power as the power of the explosion's flames fused with it. The explosion reversed in on itself and shot away from the group. Naruto collapsed the hallway behind them with the force of his thought, completely sealing off their way back in the direction they came from. Figures, even his stronger ninja get treated like this. Kakashi muttered, having a moment to think on the men's deaths and how their bodies were laced with explosives. Naruto frowned. Treating your comrades this way, it made him sick to think that some people held no value for the people they worked with. Let Yami stop when she turned around, and she nudged Naruto in the side. He turned back around and saw that they were faced with several dozen ninja, all armed to the teeth with weapons. Several with their hands placed together, having already woven their hand signs, and just waiting to unleash them. Kakashi created a Chidori in his hand, slightly weaker than his Rikiri, but it would take less of his chakra reserves to use it. I'm losing control over the Kyuubi inside of me, I'm about to unleash it, it hurts. Naruto grabbed his stomach and screamed in pain as he fell to his knees. Oh shit, it's the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Let's leave before he kills us all. Kakashi watched as the horde of ninjas all turned tail and ran in the other direction, the threat of an out of control, too much for them to think about fighting. Naruto continued to scream in pain until they were all gone, before he stopped screaming and started to dust himself off. Your acting is getting a lot better. Kakashi noted to Naruto, who stopped pretending to lose control of himself. Well, it worked. We don't have a lot of time, and this seemed faster than actually fighting them. Come on, let's go. Naruto started to run, with Kakashi following closely behind. Yami paused before she gave her cheeks a small pat. She followed the two ninja as well, but her eyes locked onto the back of Naruto's head. Kyuubi. I will give you this, that was a good idea. Most ninja would be afraid of an out-of-control tailed beast. Kakashi complimented Naruto's quick thinking. It had saved him the chakra it would take to kill those men. Naruto grinned. I know, right? Naruto stopped right when the ceiling and walls opened up, and shuriken started to shoot shuriken out of the walls. Naruto jumped backwards, with only a few of the shuriken hitting his right forearm and sticking in his skin. Damn it. Naruto landed on his feet as the trap finished. Yami went to Naruto and looked at his arm, seeing that he had 3 shurikens stuck in his forearm. She grabbed his arm before she looked at the shuriken more closely, seeing that they were pretty deep. That looks like it hurts. Yeah, it actually does hurt. Naruto relented as he started to pull the shuriken out of his arm with a wince. Don't worry Yami, this much will heal soon enough. Naruto said, as the wounds on his arm started to steam and glow a little. In a few moments the wounds would be fully healed, and he would be as good as new again. Yami looked away. I wasn't worried about you. She denied his statement of her state of worry, but she noted how quickly he healed from his wounds, something she didn't expect from him. She shook her head and started to run ahead of them, with Naruto and Kakashi following after her. I wasn't worried about him, he's strong. Yami told herself mentally. He had defeated her, he was stronger than her, so she had no reason to be worried about him getting hurt. She was just surprised at all. It wasn't like she felt something in her chest when she saw him get hit by those shuriken. Right? Yami had never seen animals so large before. Damn it, they're the big ones. Big was an understatement. There were 2 snakes in the room guarding her ship. Each of the snakes had to have been 10 meters tall and 100 meters long in length. They were freakishly huge snakes, each with their own freakish traits to them. The first snake was brown, with 3 heads, and had red scars around the top of their necks. They had a scar on their bodies around the back of their scales, where they looked to have been crushed at one point. The second snake was bigger than the first one, and had a large rattle on its tail. Thankfully, they aren't as big as Manta, Kakashi noted, as he slyly peeked around the corner, wiping the blood from his hand from his latest kill. They were incredibly large snakes, as snakes were one of the larger summons, but they had methods of taking care of them. Do you have a plan for Naruto? Kakashi asked the unpredictable blonde. Yami glanced at Naruto. I mean, I can go Sage mode again, and beat the crap out of them, but I might cause a cave-in, and this place, if I use my Rasen Shuriken, the blast wave will cause this entire mountain to come crashing down. Why does a ship have to be between them? Naruto complained under his breath. The ship was situated right between the two behemoth snakes, where it was almost impossible for him to use any destructive technique without destroying the ship too. Don't break my ship. We could really use Yamato-sensei right now. His wood release would be able to trap them. Naruto hated the fact they left Yamato behind the guard, the entrance exit for them. He would have actually been more useful with them at the moment. Then again, Yamato had a history of not being where he needed to be, when he was needed. Yami-chan? Naruto asked the blonde girl. Yami raised an eyebrow. I didn't even know snakes got this big. Yami pointed out her newness to this entire thing. When big snakes were mentioned, she thought maybe 4 meters long, or maybe twice as tall as a person. She was not expecting them to be as large as they were, and it wasn't a pleasant surprise. Kakashi sent Naruto a knowing look. You have more snake killing experience than even I do. How do you usually deal with snakes? Kakashi asked Naruto, who had his eyes narrow. Shit. Naruto shivered, knowing how he killed his first giant snake. That unpleasant experience for him wasn't something he wished to repeat anytime soon. Usually he just killed them with force, but force was out of the option at the moment. Naruto groaned and walked out of hiding, showing himself to the two snakes. Hi. I hate my life and snakes, but mostly snakes. Naruto groaned in annoyance as he walked towards the two giant snakes. The one with 3 heads rushed towards him and descended on him with an open mouth. Nah. Kakashi shouted out when he saw his student get eaten, before he realized that Naruto had an annoyed but knowing look on his face. So when Naruto was eaten, and the snake visibly swallowed him, Kakashi only sent a confused look. Naruto never actually told him before how he killed his first snake summon, just that he killed one of them in the Forest of Death years ago. Actually, he should have questioned how Naruto did it long ago, but it would seem that he was going to be getting first-hand experience in how it was done. Yami was pale. That's gross, he's going to be okay, right? Yami asked, as she spoke with Kakashi, pointing at the snake, as it returned to where it originally coiled itself up. Snakes had really strong digestive systems, so a person needed a really high acid and pressure resistance to just survive being swallowed. Kakashi nodded. Naruto has this somehow. Oh. Kakashi saw the snake start to expand, ballooning, as it gained a panic look. Yami blinked. Snakes weren't supposed to do that, and they weren't supposed to look like bombs about to go off at any moment either. Splat. Yami and Kakashi watched as the giant snake exploded in a massive shower of gore. Its organs, muscles, and blood raining down on everything in the room. Easily 1,000 Naruto clones raining down with them. In the middle of all of the gore, standing Naruto screaming his head off, covered in blood and digestive slime. He looked no worse for it, but his annoyance was let known as he screamed. Poof. The other snake left. Kakashi noted with a sigh of relief, glad to see that the snake had left the area, going back to where it came from. It had gotten wise to the fact that it was going to die if it stayed, and unlike toads, the snakes weren't really known for their loyalty to their summoner. Kakashi and Yami came out of hiding, with Yami covering her nose to prevent herself from smelling everything. Naruto was just standing around with the most displeased look he could have. I need a hug. Naruto spoke in deadpan. No? I've got something better than a hug. Kakashi went through the hand signs needed, and gathered spiraling water into the palm of his hand. I copied this from Yamato when I saw him use it with my Sharingan. What a release. Tearing torrent. Kakashi threw a rapidly moving wave of water towards Naruto. Blub 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 blub. The water rushed over Naruto, cleaning his body, as he stood in place. Yami stayed out of the way of the water, since it had everything that had been on Naruto in it. When Kakashi ended the technique, Naruto was smiling, and looking over at himself. He was wet, but he wasn't covered in guts, which was worth being wet. Yamato-sensei will be pissed that you copied his technique. Naruto stated to Kakashi with a grin, and Kakashi shrugged. He couldn't control the fact that he copied almost everything he saw with his Sharingan. It came in handy though, so he wasn't about to apologize. My ship Yami walked towards her ship, and she saw that it was still intact. They hadn't taken it apart, which was a relief. It was covered in snake guts now, and she was going to have it washed 10 times before she was satisfied, but it was fine. She was worried about the inside mostly, and if anyone had gone into her room on the ship. Thank you, Naruto. Yami looked towards him, as she opened up the back of the ship. Time to get it out of the mountain. So cool, no problem, Yami-chan. Naruto spoke, as he jumped up into the air, and landed on top of her ship. Naruto crossed his fingers, and created a clone next to him. They formed a Rasengan together, before it started to grow in size until it was larger than Naruto's own body. Now, let's break out of here. With Yamato. I almost feel sorry, these ninja left their villages, only to be treated as fodder. Yamato looked, as his wood crushed another man to death. He sighed in mostly annoyance, having been given the easy job once again. No matter what happened, he was usually stuck either cleaning up after Naruto made a mess, or when he was on a mission with Naruto, he always got stuck with the easiest jobs. To be fair though, if he was here, it wasn't likely that he would have to clean up after Naruto. After all, how much of a mess could Naruto make? Boom. Yamato refused to look behind him, as the top of the mountain erupted, and a giant yellow light filled the sky. A gigantic Rasengan shoots out of the top of the mountain, destroying the top half of the mountain with ease. Yamato could see the sky light up for a moment, and he closed his eyes, and took a deep calming breath. He didn't need to see it with his eyes to know that the yellow light was Naruto, or that half of the mountain, maybe the entire mountain, was now history. Despite knowing what happened, he still looked in the end. Damn it. With Naruto, Yami, and Kakashi. Well, that takes care of that. We should go, and finish Kabuto. Yami, can you get back to the village on your own? Kakashi asked Yami, as Naruto jumped off the top of her ship. Yami just looked at the view of the night sky. He's far more powerful than his doofy personality makes him look. Yami thought to herself, as she looked at the parted clouds above, the remains of the mountain that used to be above them, and the fact that she was free to fly off. Yami glanced at Naruto, as he put his arms behind his head, grinning. The people of this world have an amazing potential for strength. No wonder this planet is forbidden. Yami now came to truly realize why the planet had such a high danger rating. See you when we get back to the village, Yami-chan. We have some business to take care of. Naruto told the assassin girl. She shook her head. You helped me. Yami pressed a button on her remote, and her ship flew off in the direction of Konoha without her. So allow me to return the favor. I don't wish to be in your debt. Yami spoke with her usual tone. Kakashi glanced at Naruto. This is your mission, you decide. I don't see why not. If she wants to come, it's fine with me. It's going to get messy though. We won't be letting Kabuto get away this time. Naruto gave an excited cheer. Having more people to fight by his side made him feel more excited for the soon-to-come battle. Kabuto wasn't somebody to be taken lightly, since like Orochimaru, the man was always able to slip out of most situations. Time to end the bastard. Damn. Kabuto didn't have much to say to his own bad luck. He never assumed that Naruto, Kakashi, and some random unknown would even have a reason to visit the hideout to start with. Even though he was angered, he couldn't help but grin to himself. The irony of the entire situation, the fact something outside of his calculations was happening, and the way it was one of the two people in the world he admired the most, were all something he found funny. Naruto Uzumaki. The person who inspired him to change himself, to make his own unique identity, was the one that was bringing him down now. One of the two people he wanted to fight the most, was also the one who would more than likely be killing him, while he was unable to truly fight back. It was ironic at his finest that one of the few people he respected, as an enemy, was the enemy that would take him down. Just a little more time is all I need. In just a little bit, I'll have absorbed the Sound 5's DNA. Kabuto looked at the tube in his arm, dripping the harvested genetics into his body. The changes his body was undertaking nearing its end, and soon allowed him the chance at escape. He couldn't win in a straight fight. Not against the combination of Naruto and Kakashi, two of the strongest Leaf Ninja alive, not when the two of them had worked well together for so long. Either one of them were threats to him on their own, with Naruto being stronger than him, and Kakashi being around the same level as him. Together their combined power would make it obvious who the winner was going to be, and with an unknown, with unknown powers, he didn't know what he could do other than try to escape. Kabuto. Naruto-kun, it's been a while, you've grown stronger since the last time I saw you. Kabuto looked to his right side, towards the door. They had arrived. You've gotten way more ugly. Naruto's retort was expected, though Kabuto still laughed at the way it was delivered. As perfect as the body he was making for himself was going to be, even Kabuto knew that what he was doing to himself wasn't making him pretty or handsome. He saw Kakashi and the Yami girl come into the room as well, both on alert. With Orochimaru-sama dead and Sasuke gone rogue, I believe nobody would bother coming to this space. It seems I was mistaken. Then again Kabuto trailed off, as he looked at the girl, who turned her hand into a sword and lowered her body. It was her fault that he had been found, since his men had stolen her ship and taken it. Because of that, Naruto had chased down the ship and came right to his doorsteps. I guess it doesn't matter. I would rather not die here. I have information to trade. Kabuto offered. Information was something every ninja could appreciate. A kunai cut his face, as it went flying by him, sticking in the wall, and causing his blood to leak down his cut cheek. I'm not interested. Naruto spoke with his arms crossed, keeping his distance from Kabuto. Kakashi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, before he looked towards Kabuto. Orochimaru is dead. What information could you have that we could find interesting? Kakashi questioned. Well, Naruto wasn't interested in the information. Gathering it anyway could be worth something later. Kabuto was a spy master, there was no telling how useful it could be. Akatsuki's next move, and information about a coming war. I've been watching Akatsuki's movements, and had snakes watching their true leader. I'll give all my information, in exchange, I want to be captured alive. Fair trade, or am I wrong? Kabuto teased them, and Kakashi looked at Naruto. The look on the young man's face showed confliction, since everything Kabuto spoke sounded very possible. Naruto frowned. Or, the true Akatsuki leader, and all of that useful information for Kabuto's safe capture. The deal sounded fair at first, but Kabuto himself not such a twisted person. He knows dad, he can get information out of dead bodies right. Naruto whispered to Kakashi, knowing of the Yamanaka clan's special dot. He knew that the torture and interrogation unit had been gathering information from corpses, but he didn't know if that included memories. Kabuto frowned, hearing the whisper. That didn't bode well for him if they could take that information from his corpse, because then he really had nothing that he could trade for his life. He would have to think quickly if he wanted to survive this, something that he could offer that they would be interested in. Yes. Kakashi answered, as he lowered his body, and Kabuto saw the Rikiri spring to life in his hands. Kabuto's chakra signature is changing, he wouldn't be able to mold until his body gets used to the changes. Kakashi spoke, as his Sharingan looked over Kabuto's changing chakra. With the chakra amount and quality changing so drastically, the man wouldn't be able to properly mold his. Seeing as he was strapped to a chair, and his body in a weak state, as it was undergoing change, now was the perfect time to kill him. He stole my ship. Yami stated, as she inched closer to Kabuto. He had to die. I didn't steal your ship, my men did that, and I believe most of them are dead now. As interesting as I found your ship, I've been in this chair for a while now. Kabuto told Yami the actual truth. He had been so busy absorbing the DNA and chakra of others, increasing his own future might, that he hadn't had the time to steal anything. He had his snakes watching people, but other than that, he personally hadn't left the base for a while. Yami kept inching towards him. Naruto entered sage mode, and tensed himself. We'll deal with Akatsuki. You need me, Toby is building an army of Zetsu, their numbers are in the hundreds of thousands. If me, you'll have access to the impure world reincarnation. We, together, can easily wipe out the Akatsuki with an army of immortal warriors. I can even bring your parents, well I guess since the 4th Hokage is in death's stomach he's out, but I can even bring your mother back. Kabuto spoke up quickly, but forced himself to speak calmly. He smiled darkly for a second, knowing he got a reaction. Naruto was an orphan from birth, so having the chance to meet his mother had to be something that boy wouldn't be able to resist. A love-starved Jinchuriki like Naruto and Kakashi, as an experienced ninja, would both be drawn to his offer. The ability to know for certain that they could win the coming war, and Naruto getting his mother back, would promise his own survival. Naruto had a reaction. He has no family. Yami thought, as she looked at Naruto. Yami's eyes widened, as she felt something primal in her, and she broke out in a cold sweat when she saw the look on Naruto's face become downright murderous. The orange rings around his eyes turned red, and his yellow eyes became orange. His bar pupils even gained slits down the middle of them, as the whisker marks on his face grew thicker. He's mixing Senjutsu chakra with the Kyuubi's power. Kakashi noted when he saw familiar changes in Naruto, mixed together with Sage Mode. Did Naruto even know what he was doing right now? This killing intent, I've never felt something so it feels like I'm standing in front of Yami, didn't even have words for it. She knew one thing though, Naruto was angry, and he was so angry that he looked like he was seconds from ripping Kabuto a new asshole, right then and there. Naruto growled. Naruto. Did I strike a nerve with Naruto-kun? If you kill me, then you'll never see your mother. Kabuto spoke, and Naruto grit his teeth. I don't want to meet my mom, if it means somebody has to die, and I don't want to win a war, if it means sacrificing so many people. If a war comes, then I'll stop it, and one day I'll meet my mom. I don't know how, but I feel it right, Naruto shouted, as he hit his heart with his thumb. Here. Naruto exclaimed boldly, before he extended his palm, and glared at Kabuto. Kakashi looked at Naruto. With pride. I'll tell you about your mother when we get back to the village. Kakashi spoke up, and Naruto smiled at him. Thanks. Kabuto reached up. Kakashi used his Rikiri, and infused it into a kunai, before he flung it at Kabuto in the blink of an eye. Kabuto lost his hand that he was reaching up, the entire arm getting sliced off by the kunai. Gah. Kabuto grunted in pain, as his arm became a bleeding stump. He gripped his fist, and prepared to try his hardest to fight back. Using his free arm, he started to go through one-handed signs to try and summon a snake. Kabuto gasped in pain. Yami ran at him, and cut his hand off at the wrist, before he could finish weaving his signs, having learned from watching Kakashi that he needed to finish them before he could unleash his dot. Naruto started to slowly walk towards Kabuto, until he was standing right in front of the seated man. Naruto took a calming breath. I feel sorry for you, Kabuto, Naruto stated to the man. You what? Kabuto whispered, as those words started to dawn on him. You don't even know who you are. I hate you, but I really hope that at least in the afterlife, you'll be able to learn who the real Kabuto is. Naruto looked down at the man with pity-filled eyes. Naruto lifted his hand up, and without a clone, he started to form the Rasengan in his hand. Kakashi smiled when he saw that. Naruto had grown so much. This brings back memories. The first time you beat me, you used that technique. You pity me, but I'm jealous of you despite being foolish. You're always so sure of who you are. I guess if I have to die, this isn't the worst way to go. Kabuto looked down, before he looked up into Naruto's eyes. He accepted his own death, and he smiled for a brief moment. He saw the bright yellow light of the Rasengan in Naruto's hand light up the area around them. Rasengan. Kabuto closed his death, and let his life flash before his eyes. So that's the kind of person that Kabuto is. Upon seeing his entire life, Kabuto gained his answer. Am I the one carrying the dead body? Yamato, suffice to say, wasn't pleased about the current predicament that he was somehow in once more. First they stuck him on guard duty, which was mostly just sitting around, and killing the rare few ninja that would enter the base. It was boring work, and most of the enemies didn't even put up a fight that would have at least made the effort to work out. Now though, he was being tasked with carrying Kabuto's dead body, so that his memories could be looked at later on. Well, I'm going to go to my apartment. I'm starving after that mission. Naruto ignored Yamato, as the guy complained. He had ramen at his apartment calling his name, and it was almost morning. Soon Guy and Lee would be up, and starting their morning workout. It would be best to avoid any uncomfortable questions, like why were his clothes damaged, why did he have blood on him, and why he smelled like snake guts. The guts might have been washed off, but it wasn't like the smell wasn't in his clothes. Don't worry, I'll go with you. Naruto, if anything important comes up, I'll let you know. Later. Kakashi vanished in a burst of speed, with Yamato huffing, as he followed him. The two senior ninja leave the younger man behind, with Yami standing behind Naruto with a neutral look on her face. She looked at the back of Naruto's head, and he felt her piercing stare. Yo? Naruto turned his head, and looked at her. You did great out there, too bad you're not a leaf ninja. I would have loved to go on more missions with you. Naruto complimented her on their success. She didn't play a small part. Because of her radar they not only tracked down her ship, but they even found the base that Kabuto had been hiding in. Yami nodded her head slowly. Thank you. Yami stated, as she turned her head away from him. It was always so embarrassing to thank people for her, though she rarely had to actually do that anyway. She would have actually been stuck on Naruto's planet if he hadn't helped her. She wouldn't have been able to get to her ship, or made it past all of those ninja, the cursed seal ones, were it not for him, and Kakashi. She wasn't stupid though, and knew that Kakashi only helped because of Naruto, as well. Naruto's reaction was expected when he gave it. No problem Yami-chan. I was happy to help. Spoken with a bright smile she was coming to know him for, she nodded her head, and gave a very slight smile of her own. She was capable of smiling too. Is there a place I can take a bath? Yami changed the topic, gesturing to her body. She winced when she did so, and she looked at her bandaged ribs. I might need healing again too. Yami examined herself. Her injury had stopped bleeding, and while it was never life-threatening, getting it healed would prevent any possible infections from happening. It would also bring her battle strength back up to 100% if she did, and she wanted to always be at her best. Naruto looked at her. Yeah, I know a place. Konoha has always had a few good hot springs in the village, though some were destroyed. We've rebuilt them. They'll even wash your clothes if you pay a little extra. Naruto mentioned to her. He looked down at himself, and his own dirty clothes. He could use a good wash himself, before he ate, and the hot springs did serve dango. It wouldn't hurt for them to go there. It was pretty early still, so there shouldn't be too many people there, other than some of the early risers. Can I borrow some money? Yami asked Naruto with her cheeks more red than before. Pure embarrassment for her to have to rely so much on Naruto, and it was showing on her face. She couldn't quite look him in the eye when she asked for his help once more. Seeing, as she didn't have any of the local currency, she had no way to pay for anything. Until she looked at her ship, and washed the snake guts off of it, it would be best for her to stay in the village. She wanted to make sure that everything was okay with her ship before she took it back into space. Naruto nodded. Sure, we can go together. Becky. Yami covered her chest, as she looked at him with narrowed eyes. It's not mixed bathing, damn it. Naruto shouted at her with red cheeks. He wasn't his sensei, who would go to every mixed bathing place that existed. He might be the inventor of the sexy jutsu, and the harem jutsu, but most of the time he wasn't really a pervert. He enjoyed his perverted moments like any guy, but he would rather spend his time training than peeping on women. Yami uncovered her chest, and nodded her head at him, believing him when he spoke those words. He had yet to lie to her, or make himself out to be a pervert, so he would have the benefit of the doubt. For now. At the hot springs, 8:39 a.m. This place is nice. Yami noted, as she walked with Naruto towards the building. It looked like it was still in the process of opening for the morning, and the walk they had to make to get to the hot springs had been lengthy. They weren't in too much of a hurry though, since getting to the place before it opened wouldn't have done them any good. The building was all wood, and the back part of the building was surrounded by a tall wooden fence, with a visible split down the middle. The The steam coming out of the fenced-off, unviewable area was enough to let her know that was where the bath was. She would be on the lookout for perverts. Yeah, anyway, let's get in. Naruto walked through the clothes door without a care, Yami following behind him when she realized they were actually doing this. How much for 2 people, and to have our clothes fixed up? Naruto asked the front counter woman, the woman stocking the towels behind the counter. She yelled in surprise. Naruto-san, I mean Uzumaki-sama. The young woman became nervous when she saw Naruto, before she looked at him, and the one he was with. For you, consider it in the house. After everything you've done for everyone, you deserve thanks. She bowed to him with a thankful smile. Naruto pumped his fist. Yeah, thanks. See Yami-chan, no problems here. We can go get something to eat after we're done. Naruto walked off towards the men's side, taking a towel with him. Yami could only nod silently, as she walked towards the girl's side. She took a towel with her, as well, and he trained hearing, and picked something up that caused her to blink. Lucky girl, dating the hero of the leaf. The counter girl whispered under her breath, as Yami walked by with her towel. She gave the woman a confused look for a moment, before she put it to the back of her mind. She could think about it later, but right now she would be better off relaxing with a hot soak. She walked through the pink cloth barrier that led into the female changing room, and saw wooden boxes where she could place her clothing. She even saw that they had bathrobes stocked in case she finished her bath early, but wanted to keep walking around. Me? Date Naruto? I'm not suited for such things. Yami thought of the girl's earlier words while she started to undress herself. As her top came off, showing her lack of bra, she looked down at the bandages that Naruto used his clothes to make for her. A wound underneath it, and she untied the bandages, and looked at the blood-stained orange cloth. He better not peek through. Yami thought, as she put her top, and the cloth bandage, into the wood box. She wrapped her towel around her upper body, before she removed her skirt and panties from underneath it, and tossed them inside. Then came the troublesome part of taking off all the straps she had on her arms and legs, with her sleeves and shoes. No, Naruto said he wasn't going to peek, so she would have some faith in him not to. Yami shook her head, before she walked towards the other side of the room, and saw the hot springs for the first time. It was rather beautiful. I'm not alone. Yami noted under her breath when she saw several other girls were already in the hot springs. Either way, she made her way towards the water, and gently placed her foot in. She walked over towards the side of the hot springs, and she took her towel off, and used the body soap provided, and scrubbed herself down, before rinsing herself off. She had been to hot springs before in another world, and knew that it was pretty common for people to wash their bodies before getting in the water. I deserve this after putting up with Lee and Guy-sensei, I really do. Way to sound like an old man, Tenten. This is a nice break though. After this, I'm going to be spending all day healing Yamato-sensei's chakra exhaustion. His wood style is making restoring the village so much easier. I'm sorry Ino-san couldn't join us. Yami glanced towards the 3 women that were talking to each other, while getting into the water herself now. The first who spoke, Tenten, was a girl with medium-length brown hair, with a toned-up body. She had a rather moderately developed body, more developed than the next of the 3. All 3 of the girls were a noticeable amount taller than Yami herself was though. Then there was the pink-haired girl, also medium length, but pink, with green eyes, and a pale-skinned body. She wasn't too sexually developed, Yami noticed, having rather small breasts, the smallest of the trio of girls. Actually, her body was even more lean-muscled than the first girl, showing that she had a rather powerful strength in her lithe body. Then there was a girl who made Yami look down at her own chest in jealousy, a long blue-haired girl with white eyes. Her breasts were large enough that they were floating on the water, with the girl in question actually having to push them back down under the water. While Yami was rather well developed, though she wasn't really that big either, this girl's measurements would have blown her out of the water. She's working with her dad. Apparently, Kakashi-sensei brought a guy in early this morning. She's working to try and get important information. Sakura, Yami actually knew her name after seeing a picture of her in Naruto's apartment, and she had been mentioned in passing while on their way back to the village. Who was the white-eyed girl though? Well, Hinata. So her name was Hinata. You confess your love to Naruto when pain attacked, has he answered you yet? Tenten asked Hinata, and Sakura turned towards her, with her full attention on the girl. The blushing girl, with a near full-body blush. Yami glanced over with more interest. She confessed to Naruto. He never mentioned having a girlfriend. Yami thought, and an unknown clenching feeling in her chest. Her eyes trained on Hinata, and would have bored into her if she didn't decide to look away before she was noticed. I don't think he remembers. Right after I confessed, Hinata winced, and put her hand on her chest, remembering when she was nearly killed. How she could have been killed were it not for Sakura healing her. Then again, since everyone who died was brought back to life, even if she were killed, she would have just come back. It doesn't matter, I'm just happy I finally said it. Right now, I'm not strong enough to stand by his side. I'll confess again when I'm stronger. Hinata spoke with a little more confidence in her shaken voice. Tenten smiled widely. Good for you, tell you the truth, Naruto's thick-headed. I've spent enough time with him to know this about him. That idiot doesn't really know the difference between love and love. Sakura spoke about the first love with a little extra in her voice. Yami didn't know what she was talking about, since she herself didn't really know anything about love. I mean, he loves me like a sister, and he used to mistake that for romantic love. He's like a brother to me, honestly. Hinata, I think you've got a good chance. Sakura gave the girl a thumbs up, standing up when she did so. Yami noted that pink was indeed her natural hair color, or she decided to also dye her pubes the same pink as well. Speaking of the hero of the leaf, he's getting stronger and stronger so quickly. Just a week before Pain attacked, he just finished mastering Wind Chakra, and now he's a sage, and one of the strongest ninja in the village. Niji and Lee have really been pushing themselves to try and catch up, and it's killing me. Tenten complained about Naruto's growth in strength, for no other reason than her teammates not wanting to get left behind by the blonde. She and her team had been out of the village when Pain attacked, and they all felt pretty bad they couldn't defend their home. Niji had taken it pretty harshly that he had failed to protect Hinata, but he had been so proud that she had stood up to Pain, despite not having a chance of victory. All his hard work is paying off, and we need to work harder too. He's just going to keep getting stronger. We can't afford to hold him back. Hinata smiled, and Yami looked at her once more, as she listened in on their conversation, but his smile's still the same. Hinata whispered under her breath, a bright smile on her own face. This girl loved Naruto. That dazzling smile made the clenching in her chest grow tighter when Yami saw her. The soft-spoken words made an unknown emotion swell in her chest. This is jealousy. Yami tried to define her emotion. Was she feeling jealous of this girl, and her ability to voice her emotions so well? They're weapons killers, but they're still so human. Yami whispered to herself. That was it. She, Yami, was a weapon, who wasn't supposed to feel emotion. Yet these people were also raised from a young age to be emotionless killers, but here they were being normal people with real emotions. They felt all the emotions that Yami had once believed she herself threw away, and they found that balance in their lives that allowed them to do it. At the end of the day, he's going to be injured, and I'll be healing him. Speaking of healing, that's a pretty nasty cut you have. Sakura looked towards Yami, as she started to walk towards her in the water. Sakura sat down next to Yami, and looked under the water at her wound. Seems rather fresh. Here, I'll take care of it so it doesn't scar. Us girls need to always look our best, even after a hard fight. Sakura told the girl with a smile. Her hands glowed green, and Yami felt the same sensation as when Shizune was healing her. Her wound practically vanished before her eyes, as the healer went about doing what she did best. Wow, she's really pretty. She looks a little like a girl Naruto, don't you think, Hinata? Tenten pointed at Hinata with a smile. Hinata nodded. Same hair color, about the same skin color, and more rounded cheeks, with rounded odd eyes. Hinata observed the girl, unknowing that she had also been observed by said girl earlier. I'm sorry you had to listen to us. You must have been annoyed by us when you were trying to relax. Hinata apologized to Yami. She was apologizing. It's fine. Yami didn't ask the questions she wanted to ask about Naruto, since these people were his friends. She wanted to ask the questions that she was curious about, but didn't think it would be wise. Like what was the Kyuubi that Naruto mentioned, and more about his past. There, all healed. You should rest for a few days, just to be safe. I don't recognize you, what rank are you? Sakura asked the alien girl. Yami shook her head. I'm not a ninja. Yami stopped herself from introducing herself as an assassin. Since Naruto wasn't with her, she was pretty sure that her words wouldn't be taken too well. She was pretty sure that the only reason Kakashi, Yamato, and Shizune treated her so well was because it was Naruto who introduced all of them. I tripped while holding a knife. Yami corrected herself. Hey Yami-chan, I'm done over here. While our clothes get washed, I'm going to go and get some dango. Join me when you feel like it. It'll be a good way to celebrate the fun night we had last night. Was that Naruto? Sakura asked, as she looked towards the wall separating them from the men's side. Hinata blushed red, and Tenten blinked, and all of them looked towards where Yami was. Where did she go? What Yami did was not run away. It was a tactical retreat. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.